friendo, Steve here. Welcome back to Ask WrestleJuice. You guys left a bunch of great questions. Let's go ahead and dive into it. The anime fan says, do you think this past SmackDown's draft was a waste of time with how little they actually did to draft people to different brands? I've seen this out there a lot, so I figured this would make a good first question to address. And I'm going to say this, man, because I don't think it was a waste of time. I understand people wanted like a lot more when it came to the draft on SmackDown. Bizarrely, it was kind of weird at how like lousy the draft pool was for SmackDown and how loaded the draft pool was on Raw. What I probably think happened was they figured, okay, everybody's going to tune in to night one so we can sort of take it easy. And because Raw is a 3-hour show and we need people to come back to watch more draft, we'll load the draft up, maybe give us a bunch more surprises for Raw. But overall, I was fine with the draft, to be honest with you. I didn't think it was too bad. I thought that Bianca going number 1 overall was awesome. I thought Carmelo going number 2 overall, or number 2 to SmackDown, rather, I should say, was awesome as well. I mean, Raw, they picked up Seth Rollins with their first pick, and that dude's like injured. Who knows how long he's going to be gone for, and who knows how long he's going to be around for. Whereas SmackDown picked up a big future piece, a guy who's going to be number one. They're going to give that guy a huge push. So I don't know. I was fine with it, but I understand the point of view. I don't think it was a waste of time. I like the move of Nia Jax moving over to SmackDown as well. I like Baron Corbin coming up to SmackDown. I thought that's good. I don't know if I'm looking at the draft. This is just the draft continues here. I don't even know if they announced these ones on SmackDown. If they did, I wasn't paying attention. But no, I don't know. I feel like we'll probably get some more twists and turns on Monday. That being said, on today, I should say today. That being said, I mean, I don't know if there's going to be any major. There's other draft questions in here that I'm going to go ahead and address. And one of them is something along the lines of, why would they have picked the bloodline so far down? Well, it's like the bloodline ain't the bloodline anymore. The bloodline's not the same thing it was anymore. Roman is the bloodline. He removed himself from the draft, which I like that they did that because it makes him special. And then you're just left with Solo and Tama Tonga. Like, they're unproven, and Solo's track record since his win against John Cena is dog shit. So, I kind of like, because they've integrated that into the story a little bit, where Solo shows up and he's like, hey, Paul, where am I? Have I been, bloodline been drafted? He's like, no, because you're not terribly good. You've got not a very good win-loss record since you murdered John Cena in the throat. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the next question while I adjust my TV over here. Oh boy, here's a spicy one from Lord Blake Whitehouse. He says, if a wrestler refuses to lose, like allegedly Miro and Malachi Black do, at what point does it become a talent issue versus a creative issue, especially in AEW where wins and losses matter? Well, if a wrestler refuses to lose, it is exclusively a talent issue. Listen, I'm not a wrestling booker. I don't know what these situations are like, how they go down. If talent back there is like, yeah, it doesn't work for me, brother. I don't know the situation with Miro and Malachi Black. We hear things, don't know if they're true or not, right? And it's not like a normal like job where you show up, you get paid to do a thing. You get paid to do a thing, but also sometimes you might feel like that thing isn't like creatively gonna work for you personally, because everybody's got to like protect their brand, right? You would like to think that an agreement of some sort could be reached, but if Tony Khan is sitting there, he's like, listen, I pay you pretty good to kind of come and be a performer on my show, and I'd like you to perform, and part of that performance is you staring at the lights. You would think that the guy paying the bills would kind of get to dictate what's going to happen. And the talent will just have to sort of deal with it. And look, this has gone throughout history, from Hulk Hogan and, et cetera, Ultimate Warrior, all that. So I don't know about these guys right here, but that's a talent issue. That's not a creative issue, because at that point, if somebody's like, doesn't work for me, brother, Okay, well, let me then try to figure out something that does work for you. And then you're setting a really dangerous precedent, because then somebody else, Joe Schmo, Mr. Bardal, could come up and be like, hola, amigo, I don't want to lose either, hermano. No trabajo por mi, amigo. That's probably terrible Spanish right there. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, it's just sort of a matter of like, how does Tony Khan, if he's got this issue, if he's got people in there saying don't work for me, how as a businessman, the person paying the bills, how does he turn into that sort of Triple H sort of guy who, like, nobody's going to say no to the game Triple H. Nobody's going to say no to Paul Levesque. They just probably do what he's like. Hey, listen, Derry, this is what you're going to do. And then they do it. So I don't know. Like, luckily I'm not in that position. I'll be honest, I'd probably let these guys roll all over me. I would stop short of being put in a closet. I would not be put in a closet like Eric Bischoff allegedly got put in a closet. I would quit right there and then. I would find those dudes that put me in a closet, baseball bat, they might knock me out, but I would not be put in a closet. That being said, I don't know that I would make a terribly good promoter because, you know, I'm sitting there like, hey, yeah, I'm going to bring you in to lose. And they're like, yeah, I don't want to lose right now. Well, shit. Okay. Well, I'm not going to bring you in. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. You'd think there'd be something in the contract like, hey, listen, you're out of WWE. You want a job. That's great. But here, sign this contract that says you will lose whenever I say you will lose. That's the only line on the contract. You will lose when I say you're going to lose for this amount of money. That's what the contract should say. So I don't know. To me, in my opinion, it's not a creative issue. That's a talent issue. You got to come in and do what they're telling you to do, man. They're paying you the money. But I understand that's just life sometimes. The Watson says, random question. What do you think of the best heel and face turns in fiction? Oh, like not in wrestling? Just all of a sudden this is a not wrestling show. Okay, cool. Clearly it's Darth Vader's face turn at the end of Return of the Jedi. That's an easy one. Cinema Love 09 says, what pay-per-views have you guys been to? I've been to a bunch. I went to WrestleMania 31 and 33. I went to All In. Went to the first All In, not Wembley. Went to All Out, the first one. Been to a couple other WWE ones. There was like it wasn't Backlash. Roadblock? I don't know what it was. Yeah, I've been to my fair share of pay-per-views. SKR97 says, if the good versus bad bloodline match happens at Survivor Series, would you prefer to be a War Games match or a traditional Survivor Series match? He says he wants to see the traditional Survivor Series match. I think these days the match that has the most heat behind it is War Games because it's supposed to be more brutal, right? It's like Hell in a Cell, but for teams. So I would say that the traditional Survivor Series match just doesn't have a lot of heat behind it. It's like, okay, then somebody gets eliminated. What's the big deal? Who cares? Whereas, like, I don't know, War Games is like, oh my God, they're going into that big giant two cage thing. Wow, that's great. So yeah, I think for me it'd be the War Games. You got the good bloodline, you got the bad bloodline. I'm just trying to do something. Wants to start some shit between WWE and AEW. So he says, who's better at establishing factions between AEW and WWE? My opinion on this is probably at this point WWE. I don't know. I feel like their factions are like meatier, and they sort of take their time with them. It was like by the time WWE factions have a goddamn name, AEW factions like are already in that same amount of time. They're already split up. Baseline Sounds is going to get me in trouble with people. Says, who's somebody you think deserved or deserves a world title run in WWE that doesn't get spoken about as much as the Perfects, the Pipers, and the Regals? Do people say that about Regal? Really? I love Regal. Don't get me wrong. Don't know if he was ever a world title guy. He was awesome, though. Oh, man. A world title run in WWE doesn't get spoken. I'm going to get in trouble for this one. Damian Sandow. You guys know me here at WrestleJuice. I love Damian Sandow. I think that guy should have had a successful cash in. They had 2 titles at the time. He could have done it. So yeah, him. Probably now that I see him in AEW and I really like what he's doing in AEW, Claudio Cesaro. I think they really misused him, man. I think he's awesome. He's like one of the few guys who like came from WWE and went to AEW. It's like, oh shit, they got him right. They got him perfect. Now he just loses a lot of matches though. All right, Nick here says, how would you rank the WWE eras starting back in the golden era but ranking them as fast food items. Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. So best era? Probably. Fuck it. I'm going to say, I'm going to get in trouble here. Right now we're in the Paul Levesque era. So far, this is my favorite era. I'm going to say it's the Popeye's chicken sandwich of eras, man. So that's the Paul Levesque era, is the Popeye chicken sandwich. That's the pinnacle. All right. After that, I'm going to say the Attitude era. That was the Long Boy chicken sandwich era. After that, I'll go Ruthless Aggression. Ruthless Aggression is the Whopper. I think it's the Burger King Whopper. It's a good second place to the Attitude Era. No, hold on a second. No, Attitude Era is the Big Mac. The Ruthless Aggression is the Whopper, and then the Golden Era, that is the, oh man, big steroid meaty dudes, just a lot of flash, not a lot of substance. Man, what am I after here? What is that sandwich? I don't know. Something from Taco Bell, like a Mexican pizza. I love the Mexican pizza from Taco Bell, man. This shit's good. Smells like a fart, but goddamn, when it's in your mouth, it tastes so good. Miguel Contreras Rivera says, who should win Money in the Bank this year? He says he thinks it should be Gunther. I'm not going to tell you guys because I actually already recorded 2 videos about Money in the Bank and who I think should win it, will win it, might win it. So stay tuned for that one. It should be dropping, I think, this week. This is a tough one. David Walker says, how would you continue the MJF and Adam Cole story once they're both healthy? That thing just sort of got dropped like a turd, didn't it? Like it just sort of fizzled out. It had to because Cole got injured on a little leap there. Man, I don't know. This is what you would ideally do. It seems like Cole is ready to wrestle again. So you give Cole kind of like a bit of a reign of terror, like a high profile heel, just beating everybody up. I don't know. Like I know right now they've already got an A heel group with the, what are they for the New Elite? But like Cole and his crew, maybe they run roughshod on Collision or something. Maybe they just do a brand split. I don't know. So Cole and his group run roughshod. Maybe, hey, this is what you do. This is probably a terrible idea, but I kind of like it. Cole and dudes join the New Elite. You sort of bloat it like the NWO was, because that's where the New Elite's really, that's what they're doing, right? So you sort of bloat it. You make the new, you kick Wardlow out of the group first, and then the Kingdom joins up with the New Elite, right? So they're all just the Elite. And then when MJF is ready to come back, he's got like this huge super group that he's got to combat with his own group, and that's what they do. So I don't know, but seemingly it's going to be a long time before MJF gets back, and Cole seems like he might be ready to go soon, given what we saw on whatever the show was that just happened. Sir Sketchforth says, what's your all-time favorite show set? That's easy. Come on, it's the Giant Fist. It's the Giant Fist. Cinema Love says, did the revived ECW ever stand a chance? I'm going to go with a no on this. Look, if they put a ton of resources into it, and, you know, loaded up with top talent, could it have been a proper third brand? I suppose it could have been. But ECW as a brand, ECW was like, it was like a DIY philosophy. Not we are, not those guys. But like it was, hey, we're the startup. We do cool wrestling and cool characters, and we say fuck and do whatever we want. Once you pump a bunch of money into that and make it corporate, it's no longer the thing that it is. So like ECW in like what it is was never going to go back to what it was and achieve that level of cult popularity and like diehard popularity that it had amongst its fan base. It was never going to go back to that. That being said, you know, did it ever stand a chance? Could ECW have ended up being, and if they decided, hey, we're going to turn ECW into the developmental system that eventually became NXT, and they never rebranded it NXT. Sure, maybe that's a possibility, but like, I don't know, like, what's the point? You know, like I kind of feel like doing something new with NXT was the way to go. We'll end on this one. John Hosey says, do you feel that the 4 horsewomen are too pushed nowadays? It feels really sudden and unfair for them to receive a lot of heat from the IWC. It seems really sudden and unfair. Do I feel like they're too pushed nowadays? No, I think they're reliable. I think that they are big names. I think that they are like faces of the company. I think Bayley having the title as a good guy is kind of new. I think Becky Lynch winning the vacated title sets up for whoever is going to win that off of her, because I'm pretty sure Liv will probably end up winning it off of Becky Lynch if they build up Liv properly. No, they're used. I mean, honestly, they're kind of, they're to a degree, they're kind of varying degrees of John Cena territory, right? Like not John Cena now, but John Cena like 2015, 2016, right? Where it's like, okay, they're probably maybe not going to be around that much longer. They're certainly a younger crop, and it's their job now to stay strong so that when they lose to people, those people get the biggest rub possible. So I don't think they're too pushed. I think they're being used because there's some injuries, and I think that they're being used because they are the faces of the company. All right, that's going to do it for this Ask WrestleJuice. Thanks, everybody, for your questions. I appreciate it. Hit that like, hit that subscribe so that you're always notified when there's a new community tab up with my question thread. See you guys around.